Hey everyone, welcome into the live stream. Sorry I'm a live stream, not live stream. Sorry I'm a little late today. I just wanted to make sure my mic was working properly and everything so we don't have a repeat of last week or the week before where my mic audio was not working correctly, but it should be working. Let me know if you have any issues hearing me. I'm just getting the stream pulled up in my other tab. I don't have actually, yeah, let me find a postcard of the week for you. I did get a new lamp in, so it is not flickering at all. It was definitely the lamp's issue. The lamp that I bought, I didn't know this, but it's actually it has a it's built-in lighting. It's an LED lamp, and I thought it was going to take an LED bulb, but yeah, it's built in, so I guess I'll never have to replace the bulb. Or alternatively, once the lights go bad, I have to throw away the whole lamp. Um, Let me see. I'm just going in to find a postcard that sold this week to show you all. Let's see, all orders. Let's look at the last week. Let's see. Let's find a good one here. What the heck? Oh, okay, here we go. Here's a really good one. Um, Actually, yeah, I'll give you 2 for 1 and do 2 postcards of the week this week because I have two. I didn't do a what sold video, and I had two pretty good postcards that sold within the last week, so I'll just show those. And let me share my screen. Share screen, window, and there we go. Okay. So yeah, this is my first postcard of the week, the co-postcard of the week. This is when I sold, I don't remember exactly what day it was last week, but I sold this one this past week, and I wouldn't even normally list postcards like this, but, or I wouldn't have normally listed postcards like this in the past, but I have a greater appreciation now for some real photo postcards that might be harder to identify or determine what it is. But this one, I put this one into Google, and it said it was an early gasoline engine, and I looked at other pictures to verify, and that's what it looked like to me. And I couldn't find any other pictures that were just the engine like this, so it's kind of like a weird one. This one must have been taken out of a car or something like that. Because you don't see pictures of the engine by themselves a lot. And I think I priced this one at $44.95. I can't remember if it sold for full price. It either sold for full price or like $38, but that was a really good sale this past week. And my other co-postcard of the week is this one, which is a railroad depot in Metamora, Indiana. Um, it's not a You can see the railroad depot in the shot, but it's not like an image primarily of the railroad depot. Um, but yeah, you can see there the message on the back says this is the town of my birth, and it was sent to Kokomo, Indiana. But yeah, postmark from Metamora, and the previous dealer believes this was Metamora, Indiana, so I didn't have any reason to question that. I think maybe you can, well, you can't really make it out on the railroad depot there. Sometimes you can see the name of the town on the side of the railroad depot, but you can't really make it out there. But you have a nice view here of the street and also the train depot. And that one, it actually took a little while to sell. Um, so let's see, that one was listed February 14th, and it was listed for $119.95. I put all of my postcards on sale after they've been listed 120 days, and this one must have just missed the cut last time. So it was older than 120 days, but had not yet gone on sale for 25% off, and someone bought it for full price, so really happy with that sale there. And those are my 2 postcards of the week. um, Take that away. There we go. Uh, Welcome in, everyone. Let me know how your sales have been so far this week. Quite slow for me. I just saw my the money it said I had on eBay. My eBay store fee just came out of the account, which didn't help. Didn't help the amount of money I have on eBay. I had a very slow day yesterday. I think I did $98 in sales total yesterday. I've already done over 100 today, but still a little bit slower than I'd like. So hopefully it picks up a bit. But yeah, uh, it's last week was kind of the same though. Last week started pretty slow. Monday and Tuesday was very slow in particular. If you'll remember from, if you tuned into last week's live stream, you know that during the stream I had like $18 in sales for the entire day so far. I ended up closing out the Tuesday over $100 somehow. I had a lot of sales come in later in the day, but yeah, last week it was a really slow start to the week, but a really good end to the week. And Saturday and Sunday, I think I did combined those 2 days. I did about $800, which made the week much better. So hopefully, if it looks like the trend we're going, or the trend this week is slower at the beginning of the week. Hopefully that means it picks up near the end of the week and we have some better sales. But I'd say my sales have been average the last few weeks. Not great, not bad, just kind of average. Hero in Hand Me Down said audio good to hear. Yeah, it should be going through the mic, which usually has a little bit better quality than my, just the computer audio. The monitor has a built-in mic, so that's what I've used in 2 weeks ago when my mic wasn't working. I used the computer audio, but the mic should have better audio. And I actually went and got a USB-C dongle because I had way too many things to plug in. And let me see, I have like 8 things to plug into USB-C, and I only had 4 ports. So I got one of those little dongles that you can plug multiple things into. So that's been nice, and that's what the mic is plugged into, which is weird because the last week this mic and the week before this mic was not working when it was plugged into one of the USB-C ports, but I plugged the dongle into that USB-C port, and the mic is plugged into the dongle, and now it's working. So I don't know why that is. Eugene says hello. Welcome in, Eugene. Barbara says hi, gang. Welcome in, Barbara. Sorry, I'm just getting caught up with the chat a little bit. I'm a few minutes behind. Disposable lamps were doomed. Yeah, they're not disposable. I don't know what the failure rate is on the lamp. I assume it lasts for a very long time. But yeah, if the lighting ever does go out in the lamp, I don't know how to repair it. So that's going to be a problem if that ever happens later down the line. But the company that I bought this lamp from, I've bought lamps from in the past, and they have really good quality lamps at reasonable prices. This one was $100, which I found it sounds kind of expensive, but if anybody else is familiar with lamps as I am from the last week or two of research, $100 is pretty reasonable for a decent lamp. I'm just going to look up how long do LED lamps last with built-in lighting. Okay. How long? Okay, which translates to 8 to 20. Okay. So this lamp should last, it says, about 20 years with average daily use of 6 to 8 hours. But the lifespan can vary. So not really disposable, I guess. I mean, it might not last as long as lamps where you can just replace the bulb. I honestly did not know that when I bought the lamp. I should have, I guess, researched that it had the built-in lighting. But the company they do make very good lamps, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is if the built-in bulb is like some ultra long-lasting bulb. And it doesn't actually look like a bulb. It looks like LED strip lights, how they're like little squares. So I trust the company for it to be a long-lasting lamp, though. All that said, I am sure this lamp will last at least 10 to 15 years, hopefully much longer. But yeah, I'm very glad it is not flickering anymore, which was quite annoying. Eugene said, should you do color border on the postcard when you scan, or just do a basic gray one? I would just do a basic color. You don't have to do gray, but I would just do either black, white, or gray. Some neutral color like that. You don't want to distract from the postcard image. The border is only there so collectors can see the edges and see what shapes the corners are in. And it doesn't really, yeah. I wouldn't do a crazy border. One seller in particular has an orange border on his listing. That might draw eyes to your listing, but if for the purpose of the border is there to see the edges. So neutral colors are going to be better for people that are actually looking at it. But that, yeah, the orange might draw people there. I would just do neutral. Um, Let me close some of these tabs. I always get my tabs just multiply and always end up with way more than I was bargaining for. Lisa Live says, hi from New Hampshire, my first chat. Welcome in from New Hampshire. I haven't talked any trash about New Hampshire yet this show, but I have somebody lowballing me on one of my New Hampshire postcards, so I'll save that for later in the show. And I'm assuming it's not you. If it is you, yeah, it's, no, I don't like New Hampshire postcards, but I hear it's a beautiful place. Choose whatever color you fancy, it won't matter. I don't know, I think a lot of the people browsing postcards have older eyes, so I would choose something easy on the eyes. At least I was voted most popular in these chats. I was the only one who voted. Actually, that was, I think Fart Sack Jack won the most popular in the chats, and he was the only one who voted because he's the only moderator, so. Or maybe there's one other one. Liz Hertzinger said, good afternoon, sir. Welcome in. Hubby says hello. Tell him I said hi too. And I'm not sure how far you all make it down for postcard shows, but we're having a great show here in August. It's the first one that's going to have postcards. I was going to talk about it on this stream anyway, but now that we're here, yeah, we're having a show. I do have it on my website. It's the Atlanta. It was formerly only a stamp show, but the promoter of the show expanded it in recent years to add postcards, and he currently has 8 postcard dealers and several ephemera dealers and a bunch of stamp dealers. I think like 10 or 15 stamp dealers. So it's actually going to be a really good show. I can pull up the details on my other screen and share it. Let's see. Oh, I already have it up here. Perfect. So this is the, yeah, Georgia Stamp Postcard and Ephemera Show. If anyone wants to travel in, it's really easy to fly into Atlanta, and you can fly into Atlanta from pretty much anywhere in the country. And get your flights now, though. The show is only a month and 3 weeks away, and I'm very excited because it's within driving distance for me. Actually, I'll have to look up how far away it is. It's probably around an hour 15 or an hour and a half, depending on traffic. Or actually, if there's bad traffic, it'd be much longer than that. But let's hope for no traffic. 5,000 Commerce Parkway. Okay, yeah, I'm only 52 miles away. And, well, right now there's a bit of traffic, which is expected for the Atlanta area. I'm about an hour and a half away. Let's see. We need an August show. Who's the promoter? Let me get you their name. They'll probably be an unfamiliar name just because I believe they've been doing this show for a while, and they only this year have they added postcard dealers. So I believe they're just a stamp person who wanted to add postcards to their show. Sorry, I'm just going through my messages right now to get you the name of the promoter of the show. Okay. David Flannery is the promoter of the show. And yeah, I don't know exactly all of the dealers that are going to be there, but I know the ACUFs are going to be there, who are a very large dealer that travels across the country to do a lot of shows. They have a ton of postcards. I haven't seen the ACUFs in a few years, so I'm sure they have a lot of postcards that I've never seen, but I'm really excited about that show. No traffic in Atlanta. Does that happen? No, it doesn't. There's always traffic in Atlanta. Um, some days are better than others, though. We actually went to a Braves game this past weekend, and the traffic was not too bad. But the Braves aren't really the Atlanta Braves anymore. They're the Cobb County Braves, even though they are still called the Atlanta Braves. You don't have to go through Atlanta to get to the Braves Stadium, which some people like, but I really liked when the games were in downtown Atlanta, and there was something really cool about. Uh, yeah, it was called the TED. It was Fulton County Stadium first, and then it was it just Ted Turner Field? Um, Turner Field. It was called Turner Field. That was my favorite Braves stadium, even though a lot of people didn't like it because it was in downtown Atlanta. But yeah, there will be traffic going to the show, I'm sure. But I'll be leaving pretty early in the morning to get there Friday morning. So hopefully at that, well, I just forgot that people go to work in the mornings. Not me, but no, I just walk upstairs to work in the mornings. No, that might actually be bad. Now that I'm thinking about it, the traffic probably won't be too bad Saturday, but the traffic Friday, I might I might have to take an alternate route and go around Atlanta. There's a few different routes I can take though. I don't have to go through Atlanta to get to the show. I might just route around Atlanta entirely. My New Hampshire postcards don't sell well either, but my Massachusetts Cape Cod postcards sell well. Yeah, Massachusetts I've found does better, but hey, that's great. If you want to get into collecting postcards, you can build a New Hampshire collection for a really good price. Can you send Steve an email with his info? I don't think I have Steve's email, but I do have his. I've messaged him a bit on Facebook, so if that works, I can just send him his info on Facebook. It is a 2-day show. It's Friday and Saturday, so 10 to 5 on Friday, and then 10 to 4 on Saturday. Yeah, I'm not sure why they chose to do Friday and Saturday as opposed to Saturday and Sunday, but yeah, in the past, I know it's been only stamps and they've expanded. And he did a great job. I didn't know how many postcard dealers he was going to be able to get, but I put him in touch with the man who used to run all of the shows in Georgia, and I think he helped him get in touch with some of the larger dealers and got some good postcard dealers for the show. So I'm very excited. Deborah said there's one in Minnesota the weekend. Sorry, that comment took a minute to show up. There's one in Minnesota the weekend after next that I wanted to go to but can't. Although I shouldn't buy any more. I bought too many as it is. Um, yeah, I'm just looking at my calendar to see the show in Minnesota. How do I not have that one on my website? That I assume that's a Muriel Martin show. I must not have. She must have added it to her website after I got shows. But yeah, that Minnesota show is a pretty big show, I believe. I haven't. I was gonna go to that one last year, but I don't know why it didn't work out. Great, thank you. We'll see if we can get a couple tables. Awesome, that would be great to see you guys there. Yeah, I'll just message Steve and tell him. But yeah, really easy to fly into Atlanta, and there's going to be a good number of postcard dealers and stamp dealers there. So we'll make it a great show. It's going to be the first show in Georgia in a really long time that has postcards. So I think there's going to be a lot of people that come to the show that are going to be cruising for some cards because there's been a drought. Let's see, just message or pull up here to message Steve. I think it was in Edna or Egan. Yeah, I think it's the Egan, Minnesota show that you're thinking of. Mary's show in Minnesota is a great show. Yeah, again, I can't remember exactly why I didn't go last year, but I was planning to go to that one last year, and maybe it was just too expensive to fly out there, and I couldn't justify it, but didn't make it out to that one last year, unfortunately. This year, I'm very excited. Both of my shows that I'm going to this year are in the second half of the year, so coming up, I'm going to the Atlanta show in August, which I've been talking about, and then the Wichita show in October, which I am also excited about. And then maybe next year, I don't think I'll make it to any of the Pennsylvania shows this year, but I definitely want to go to York. in the future, and maybe Allentown too. I hear those are pretty good shows. So I haven't ever been to a show that's just like that big. The largest show I've been to is probably the Kansas City show a couple years ago, and that one was a good show, don't get me wrong, but there were probably about 10 to 15 dealers there total, so it wasn't a huge show. I think I'm not. I think Wichita is about the same size as Kansas City, maybe slightly bigger. But if anybody's been to the Wichita show, let me know in the comments how many dealers to expect. I know how he's been super busy the last few weeks. Apparently too busy to tune into the live stream. But he said when they know all the dealers that are coming to the Wichita show, he said he was going to let me know or send me like the roster of dealers. But if anybody has been to Wichita in the past, let me know around how many dealers are there. Again, I think it's about the same size as Kansas City, which is around 10 to 15, I would say, but I've never been, so I can't say for sure. Sorry, just cleaning up this show on my website that has passed, and I need to delete it. Oh, Liz said Wichita has about 20 to 25. Oh, wow, that's a great number of dealers. The only problem I have, I don't have a lot of experience going to shows outside of the Southeast. I've been to a good number of shows in Tennessee and Alabama, like five or six, but the only one I've been to outside of the Southeast is that one in Kansas City. And at that show, the dealers there didn't really have many Southern cards. So I was a bit disappointed, and a lot of them didn't even bring their Southern cards because they were traveling from out of state, and they had to choose, what to take and what to leave at home. But I remember talking to dealers at the shows, and they'd say, "Oh, what are you looking for?" "Oh, Georgia and Tennessee are the main states I collect." And be like, "Well, I have a couple, or I don't have any, because I left them all at home because I didn't think anybody at the show would want Georgia and Tennessee cards." So hopefully it's different. I know the show in Atlanta will have a lot of Georgia cards, obviously, but uh, yeah, I'm curious to see Wichita. Hopefully, um, at least at least some of the dealers in Wichita hopefully have some good Southern cards because I know in those, or at least with the Kansas City show is not that far away from Wichita. It's Kansas City is on the border of Kansas, so they're basically in the same state. And that one, most people were interested in like Midwestern area postcards. There was a ton of Missouri, Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma, states like that. But for someone like me, it was a struggle because I don't really like those states that much to collect. But it was, you know, still a lot of good stuff, just not a lot of good Southern stuff. Lil's postcard said I really enjoyed the Minnesota, not Minnesota, Minnesota show last year. One of the biggest I've been to. Oh yeah, I remember you said you were going to that one last year. That's really cool. How many dealers were at the Minnesota show? Just curious. Now that we're tallying all of the dealers up, I'd be curious to know how many are at Minnesota. I assume it would be a little bit larger than Wichita, but again, I've never been, so I can't say for sure. I need to drive down to Florida for a show too. Maybe Kevin the postcard guy can show me around and help me buy some great cards. Plus, the hotel business is great. Yeah, we'll be. So we have to. My wife is coming with me, and she doesn't have like a ton of vacation days left in the year, so we're only able to leave that Friday morning. So we're unfortunately going to miss the hotel shopping, but we are going to get there in time to do the members only shopping, which is Friday. For those of you who don't know, if you're in the Wichita area or in Kansas or are able to make it to the Wichita show, they do where you can shop at the dealers out of the dealers' rooms. I believe it's whenever the dealers get there. So usually Thursday and then maybe Wednesday if some dealers get there that early, but I don't know if any dealers get there that early. But Thursday night, I believe, is when they have the shopping in the hotel rooms when the dealers get into town. And then Friday, they open up for members only. And Saturday and Sunday are the main days of the show that are open to the public. So if you're a member of the Wichita Postcard Club, you get to shop early on Friday, and I will be there Friday. I believe Hal said it opens at 6 or 6:30. So it's not like an all day thing Friday. Deborah said good to know. Maybe next year. I can't remember exactly, but maybe 20 to 30. It was in a large gymnasium. Okay, yeah, 20 to 30. That's a pretty good size show. I mean, I don't know if there's many shows bigger than that have more postcard dealers. I'm not the expert on. I wish I was going to more postcard shows, but traveling is expensive. 20 to 30. Yeah, I feel like that's probably going to be near the top of the line for only postcard dealers. But there are some shows. I think Allentown would have more dealers total, but there's a lot of dealers there that have just various ephemera and photos and stuff like that. Um, I know York is definitely bigger, though, I've heard and seen videos of online. But other than that, yeah, that's a really good size show. And we have in Tennessee. I don't go to any of the shows in Tennessee anymore because it's I would have to stay in a hotel, and the shows in Tennessee are just not, they're not super big. There was one show we'd have in Shelbyville, and there were only 4 or 5 dealers at that show, so it was a very small show. And there was another show in Antioch, Tennessee, or not Antioch, Gallatin, which is in the Nashville area. And that one would also have probably actually less than 5 or 6. Probably only had like 3 or 4 postcard dealers, but it was primarily a stamp show. So, yeah, none of those in Tennessee are really worth driving that long for me. The only one that would, besides the Atlanta one, of course, is the Huntsville show. And the Huntsville one's a pretty good show. I didn't drive to it this year, but I might try to make it over there next year. I just, I really like flying to shows because the flights are usually like a couple hours, but I just don't like driving that amount of time. And if I'm going to travel a long distance for a show, I want it to be worth it. Alan L said self-imposed grounding. I have 30,000 to post now, and I just bought a lot of RPPC from Mary Martin last week. You're grounding yourself from buying anymore. That doesn't sound like any fun. Uh, yeah, 30,000 to list. Um, yeah, I'm sure most people here have a lot of postcards that they need to list. I have, out of ones to list in my main store, I have 10 boxes that I need to list in my main store currently. So that's like, or actually one of those boxes is almost empty. So let's say about 9,000 is what I have. But I mean, I have a lot more in back stock that I need to sell, either as boxes or the secondary store that I still need to get going that I talked about last week. Um, it's okay, we'll only take one day. Yeah, 30,000. I mean, if you're using AI assisted titles, you could get that done in no time. But yeah, 30,000 would be. What are the man hour? Now I'm curious. So I can do, and I know everyone's different. Uh, but I can do about 100 postcards in 3 hours. So 30,000. Let's see. Um, the man hours that it would take. So that would take me 900 hours roughly. And working, I couldn't list postcards 8 hours a day. I can work on postcards 8 hours a day, but I could not solely list 8 hours a day. I think I would lose my mind. Um, but yeah, that's a good bit of work. That could easily 30,000 would easily last me an entire year, just because I do 100 a day during the week. And most people, I'm sure, would probably last a good while. Yeah, that's quite the number of postcards. Um, Let me see here. Let me message Steve real quick and get him the info for the promoter. I only have his. I'm not sure if I've ever emailed with him before. I communicated with him solely on Facebook, but let me see here. Where's his information again? I'll just share his profile. I think that'll work. Uh, Profile. And yeah, he's the okay. Yeah, I think he's one of the presidents of the Stamp Club in Atlanta. And Atlanta has a, and I did not know this. I mean, it's really, there's really no way to know this, just because a lot of the local clubs and shows don't advertise very much. But Atlanta has a really nice postcard club and a stamp club. So uh, I had no idea until we moved here and I asked around. Um, Roswell, outside of Atlanta, and I have only been in here. This profile. Okay, got that taken care of. Um, GT said hello all. Welcome in, GT. Alan said, I've said this before. I like shows that have cards for resellers too, not just collectors, so the reseller doesn't get priced out. Yeah, from what I've found, and I've said this before, but my goal at shows is to break even. So I like to buy a lot of cards for myself to collect, and I like to buy a lot of cards for myself to sell. And my goal is to buy enough cards to sell that I can pay for the cards I bought to collect. And, the time spent traveling there and stuff like that. But, yeah, there's a lot of dealers. Yeah, it really depends on the dealer what they price things at. All dealers will have certain categories where the prices are just way too high for anyone that would be trying to buy it to resell it. But I'll still buy a lot of those cards to collect. But certain categories, Halloween, usually the cards are always going to be priced up. I've only ever run across one or two dealers that price their Halloween cards really cheaply. Other categories like diners, I've found, and roadside cards like that can sometimes be priced up. Real photos, depending on the subject, but your good ones like your street scenes and your railroad depots are usually going to be priced up. But certain categories are going to be reasonably priced. But aside from that, almost all dealers have like the dollar boxes or their discount boxes that they put their cards that they deem aren't worth pricing individually in, and a lot of them are worth selling individually because the dealers usually only sell in person and they have a certain clientele that attends their shows, and they know what their clientele likes, and what their clientele likes may be different than what people buying postcards online like. So there's always opportunities in dollar boxes. I don't really like going through dollar boxes, just to be honest, because I like looking at the better cards. Usually I look for opportunities in the categories and topics, and I'm buying postcards that I'm collecting along with postcards that I'm buying that I may sell. But I love shows so much. It's really like, I mean, there's no better place for someone that collects postcards than a postcard show. It's just like heaven on earth. And it's unbelievable the amount of cards that are at a show. If you've never been to a show, the first time you go, you will absolutely be overwhelmed. Unless it's just not that great of a show and they only have two or three dealers. But even the show that I went to, the first show I went to only had a handful of dealers. And it was still really good because a couple of the dealers there were really big dealers and they had a ton of stuff. Like multiple tables and just a bunch of cards to go through. So I still spent all day there, and I spent way more money than I was planning to. And I had to promise one of the dealers that I would send him a check. And I felt so bad because, this was my first time going to a show. So I was just like, okay, yeah, when I'm done, I'll just swipe my card and then be on my way. And I did bring a lot of cash though, because I, figured some would only deal in cash. But yeah, I ran out of cash. I think I only brought a couple $100, which was not nearly enough. And one of the dealers I was shopping from, I had a lot more cards picked out, and I was going to check out, and I was like, oh shoot, I don't have any more cash. But fortunately, he let me mail him a check, which was really trusting and kind. And I made sure to give him all of my information. I was like, this is my email address, this is my physical address, this is my phone number. Please, if the check does not arrive by next week, please, give me a call, let me know, and I'll send you like a money order or something. But yeah, it arrived. They cashed it. All was good. But I even said I like didn't want to. I think I had some cash left, but not nearly enough for all the cards I wanted to buy. So I said I was like, yeah, I'll just put a bunch of the cards back. I can put them back in the categories. And he's like, oh no, I wouldn't want you to have to put them back. Yeah, just if you can, just send me a check. Have you given your opinion as to using Whatnot for servicing, postcards? I'm not sure what you mean by service. Do you mean selling postcards? I've sold on Whatnot in the past. Any OGs who've been on Whatnot over a year may have been in some of my shows, but I had good luck selling on Whatnot. The reason I stopped is just because it took a ton of time to put the lots together, and people loved the curated lots. And I would sell. I've sold some really good cards on Whatnot. A lot of the foreign that I had were really nice cards. I sold a lot of Japan that were like the artistic style that sell really well. So I sold a lot of good cards on Whatnot, and I still have a lot of good cards that I could sell on Whatnot. The only reason I don't do it is it just takes so long to put together every all the lots, and I'm just really disorganized. And I would spend like an entire day of work just putting together the lots and sorting through and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe in the future I'll have more time and get back on Whatnot. But you mean how is Whatnot for sourcing postcards? I've never really sourced on Whatnot, but I know there are, a lot of people that do, and you can get a lot of deals. I know Popeye sells really good cards on Whatnot. I've just never really. I have a couple times bought stuff from Popeye, and yeah, it was good stuff, but I don't know. I just haven't really gone back to it. And I've been more of a seller on Whatnot than a buyer. Although now I'm neither. I think I might have deleted Whatnot just because they kept sending me notifications of shows that I had no interest in. Um, but no, a lot of people do have great luck sourcing on Whatnot and buy some great stuff. You just got to know where to look and know who has great postcards. But I don't know. I liked doing the live shows on Whatnot, but I like these live shows a lot more because I don't have to sell anything and it's much less work. But I didn't really like the aspect of watching live shows on Whatnot. So maybe that's why I didn't source on it as much. Eugene said you still use checks. I wouldn't if I had the choice, but dealers at shows here, I don't know if it's different. I believe you said you're from France. I don't know if it's different in France, but dealers at shows here only accept cash or check for the most part. I've only come across one dealer at one show that I've been to that accepted cards, and they also added sales tax to their order, so they were not very popular among buyers. So a lot of the buyers are just used to writing a check or paying cash, and yeah, I wouldn't choose to use a check, but shows cash is king, and I know that now. At my first show I didn't, but ever since then I've been pretty good about taking out an accurate amount of cash, and yeah, I've just had so much joy spending the money at show, even though it's like a lot of money. I really enjoy going to shows and spending money. I'm feeling a little. I went for a walk earlier, which is very hot outside here. It's like, is it in the 90s yet? 88 apparently. Feels much hotter though. I was gonna say I think I'm gonna get off in a few minutes. I'm just feeling a little thirsty, uh, dry, dehydrated. I went for a walk and no, I haven't drunk or drank enough water today, so I think I'm gonna get off and call it a day. And I'm in a few minutes here. Venmo is popular. Yeah, I would guess a lot of dealers that have, smartphones would accept Venmo. The problem is, at least for the shows I've been to, a lot of them, have like the life alert phones or the what are they called? the phones with the huge buttons or the not smartphones. And yeah, the Venmo though is great though. If dealers accept Venmo, that is vastly preferred, at least for me, to checks or cash. Only use of check we had in France is to pay the taxman and pay the garbage bill. No other one shops don't accept them anymore. Too much fraud with it. Yeah, we just don't have that problem at postcard shows, I guess, because it's, everybody kind of knows everybody and trusts each other. Cash, obviously, you don't have any problems with fraud because I mean, you do have some, but, nobody that I know is paying with fraudulent dollar bills. And I don't think I've ever seen like fake money before. At least it was like passed off as real, but that's like a huge crime here. So I think that's why nobody really tries to get away with it. You need to come to bigger shows. Yeah, I do. Somebody said how many people? Okay, so you said Wichita has 20 to 25. Does that count as a bigger show? If so, then I will be going to a bigger show later this year. But I know there are bigger shows than that. And I'm ramping up. I'm starting small and getting bigger, but I can only imagine the amount of dealers at a larger show. I mean, part of me will really love it, but also if there's so many dealers, you might not be able to see everything that you want to see, so that would be kind of a bummer. Wichita's a medium show. Okay, yeah. I know York's a large show. I don't know. There's another show I think is classified as a bigger show in Michigan. That's a 2-day show. Oh, I'm looking at it right now. Southwest Michigan show. I'm assuming you and Steve make it up to that show in Kalamazoo. Is that a larger show or a medium-sized show? Because it says it's the biggest one in Michigan, but I don't know if that means it's a medium show or a larger show. Uh, hey everyone, don't forget to hit the thumbs up like icon. Always helps. And we've been having some good streams the last few weeks. I'm definitely happy with the turnout. We have 30, what does it say? 34 people in here right now, 32. That's awesome. I'm happy for, or grateful for each and every one of you. And always, and I mean to do the What Sold videos on Mondays again, but I've just been so busy on Mondays that I've prioritized doing the live streams instead of the What Sold. Top 5 30 plus dealer shows are York, Allentown, Spring Show, Kalamazoo. Okay, yeah, that was the one. Minneapolis and Phoenix. Okay. Yeah, I need to make it out to one of those shows. All of them are fairly easy to fly into. Fortunately, we're, just outside of Atlanta, so we can fly pretty much anywhere in the country. Like, we have direct flights to Wichita, which, how many other cities in the country can say they have direct flights to Wichita? Not many. Unless you're near Wichita or unless you're like New York or Los Angeles or another huge city. I went to a medium one in Chicago last fall, about 15 tables, 2 days. All the French banks offer free instant bank transfers, either cash or SEPA transfer. Yeah, we have Zelle here, which is the equivalent of that, I believe. That's like the free instant bank transfer. Venmo's a little different. It's like a third-party app, but it's still instant cash transfer, basically. You just have to go to the extra step of transferring it to your bank after you transfer it through Venmo. Only the Germans and Austrians still have loads of cash. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, cash is not really used here much at all. Um, the only time I use cash during the year is at postcard shows. Uh, but yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the last time I used cash for anything. Usually, just older relatives will give you cash for Christmas or your birthday, and then you'll, have to use it at a restaurant or something. But I never use cash in day-to-day life. Have a good day. Feel better. Nice chatting. See you in August. Thanks. Yeah. Hope you guys are able to make it down in August. See you there. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just feel a little. I don't feel terrible or anything like I have heat stroke or anything. Just a little. I feel like a little dried out, like a sponge that you just sit on a counter for a couple hours and then it gets kind of dry. That's how I feel. But I love going on walks. It's just been so hot recently, and I don't want to give it up. So I've made a rule that if it's 85 or below, I'll try to go on a walk. And if it's hotter, then I'll work out inside. But today it was 85. Deborah said, thank you. Yeah, I'll probably wrap it up now. If anybody has any last minute questions, you can drop them in the chat now and I'll still answer them. I'm not going to just cut off the stream immediately, but thank you so much for everyone who came in today. And if you are in the Southeast or able to make it to the Atlanta area show in August, I'll be there and there'll be a lot of great dealers selling great postcards there. It is a smaller show. There's going to be about 8 postcard dealers there, but I know there's going to be some quality dealers and quality stuff, and I'd bet at least 10 to 12 people total that have postcards, and 8 sole postcard dealers. Sometimes the stamp dealers have postcards, or some postcards. And then there's going to be some ephemera dealers that I bet have postcards too. So I'll be at that show in August, and then Wichita in October. But again, thank you everybody for coming in today. I will see you. I'll try to make a What Sold video Monday. If I don't get around to doing that, I mean, it might just be too depressing because it's been a slow start to the week. But at the very least, I should be back Tuesday with a live stream, and I will see you next week. Have a good one.